Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad to have with me today Bent Gay. First of all, Bent, thank you for taking the time. I know you're busy. I've dropped by to see you many times, and you always take time for me. I might have to wait a few minutes, but you always take time for me, and I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Glad to help.
And seems like just a couple of 3 years ago, we were out here having a grand opening for this beautiful building out here. So I know you love being in your new office, don't you?
Oh, it's great. It's a whole lot better than the cramped quarters we had before. But yeah, it does seem like just yesterday, but I guess it was 4 years ago.
Wow.
That we. But things have changed. Things change fast.
Yes, yes. And we're in the headquarters of Gayco, and we're out here on Industrial Boulevard. Beautiful complex here. But today, I hear and I want to talk to you about Integrity Hospice, which you were a part of, and I think it was really one of your dreams because you do deal with nursing homes, and you've seen how hospice affects people's lives. And let me ask you, first of all, what is hospice?
Well, hospice is, of course, when most people hear about hospice, they think of the dying days, the last days of a person's life. But it actually goes much deeper than that. It hopefully starts earlier in the process because what happens is it's actually part of the healthcare continuum. And it allows a group of professionals, nurses, social workers, spiritual leaders, to come in and to work with the family, not just the patient, but also the family, to prepare them for what's coming, and also to help them to be able to sit back and relax and to enjoy each other, enjoy these last few days. And when I say last few days, it doesn't have to be days. It could be weeks. It could be months. There's different levels. And generally, sometimes what you found in the past was as hospice comes in, it may actually extend the days because now everybody's a little more relaxed. They're taken care of. But, of course, dying is a natural part of who we are, but it's the part nobody wants to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing we wanted to do was to come in and to help these people who are going through a part of life that's very, very spiritual, but also very deep and very misunderstood a lot of time.
And you dealing and having association with nursing homes, how does hospice touch you when you see, and you said death is a part of life, and it is, and it is the part that we don't want to talk about. We were talking off camera a while ago, a lot of us aren't scared to die, but we want to live. We really want to live, and I think hospice is so important, not only to that patient, but to the caregiver, to the family.
And that's very true. So, you're going to always hear stories, but one of them that I can remember was having a elderly female that was in her dying days. Hospice had come in, and the family was having trouble letting go of their mother or grandmother or aunt because there was a lot of people there. Well, as hospice started talking with the family and having them to understand that it's a sad time, but it's also a natural time. It's a part of life. Death is a part of life, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it. But the main thing that they were able to do is this elderly woman who was hanging on mainly because her family could not let her go, when they finally understood what was happening and told mother, grandmother, it's okay, you can go, then she passed away peacefully at that point. So, and it allowed everybody to be a little more understanding of the process. But it is hard. It's hard. And that's what this group of people does, what hospice does. Hospice is about compassion. It's about compassion. Sometimes it will go deeper than that because things happen very rapidly. But it's about compassion before, during, and after those times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Are all hospice the same?
No, they're not the same. And, of course, it's just like anything in life that you'll have different businesses that have different philosophies. To us, the reason I'm involved with Integrity Hospice is, as you said, I was in the nursing home industry and providing medications, and I was in there. And for probably 15, 20 years, I would see a lot of business side of hospice. A lot of the hospices wanted to work in the nursing homes because they had 24-hour care of the nurses there. And they could quickly get in and quickly get out. Well, it's not that that's bad from a business standpoint. It actually helps the bottom line. But what it missed was the compassion, the holding the hand. You know, what a nurse. And if you think of hospice, think of nursing. And nursing at its root is compassion, holding hands, caring. It's not always about just standing there and giving somebody meds or taking their blood pressure. The biggest part of nursing is the compassion, just the part to help the person understand what they're going through and to let them know that somebody's there for them.
Amen. There's nothing like it's got to be a calling.
It's a calling.
There's no doubt it's got to be a calling. One question I hear a lot around town, around our community is, if a doctor recommends a certain hospice, do you have to go with that hospice, or can we pick who we want to go to?
You can pick who you want to go to. And keep in mind, whenever the doctor may not know anything about that other hospice. It may be fairly new. They may not have the rapport with some of the people. So he's really just making a recommendation based on the hospice that he knows. But you've got the freedom of choice. You know, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a discharge planner, you've got the right to tell them which hospice you want to use at that time. And you can lead them through that process.
What was your mission statement, if you could tell us one about Integrity Hospice?
I can't give it verbatim to you, but I will tell you at the root exactly what it is. It is to bring about compassion during a natural part of life. And that really goes deep. It seems very simple on the surface when you look at it, but it goes deep in that death is a natural part of life. We don't like to think of it that way, but it is. So then how, in a compassionate way, can we make sure that we're making that as easy as possible? Some of it has to do with pharmacological care. You know, if someone has a pain, you want to make sure they have no pain. Because when you look at hospice, the number one thing that you will see as far as medications, and of course me being a pharmacist, I have to get back to talking about the medications, but is you have comfort and care measures that are there. Most of the time during hospice, you're not trying to shorten the time. You're not trying to lengthen the time. You're trying to allow the process to happen, the natural part of life, which is death, to happen. But you're trying to keep that person calm, trying to keep that person comfortable, which also allows the family to relax and to feel good and to see. Because the main thing is, you know, hey, I'm a daddy, but our mamas are what it's all about. It's what it's about. And when mama's hurting, nobody's happy at that point. So the main thing is you want to make sure that person is comfortable and is able to really sit there and laugh, enjoy, and just spend time with their family and friends.
Precious time.
Precious time.
Yes. Integrity Hospice, just like when I come out to Geico, great staff. And I want to brag a little bit on Integrity Hospice here, but it's all about people. And you keep talking about compassion, but we're talking about people here. And the people that serve these patients, the dying person or the family. But let's talk a little bit about the staff at Integrity Hospice. You've assembled, and Robert, wonderful staff.
Robert has really done the assembling of it. It's all Robert Reed does a fabulous job. He's got many years in hospice. When we first met, and I'll just ad-lib just a little bit, but when we first met, I'd watched hospice. I'd watched it function well in some places and function not so well in other places. And most of my experience was in the nursing home industry. And I saw a lot of times that things that needed to be improved, the compassion. And I didn't get to see a lot of that, but the little bit I saw. So I was a little biased in that I didn't think there was as much compassion as there needed to be. Now, the workers at the homes, fabulous, fabulous. I did not see that from the staff. I would constantly find out that a pain medication did not follow all the rules and regulations and couldn't be dispensed to the resident. Well, that doesn't help them. That does not help them. So I saw a need. Well, I got through a friend, Steve Ratley, one of the other partners in Integrity Hospice, got Robert and I together, and we all three sat down and talked. And we came up with the idea of Integrity Hospice. But the first thing we all agreed on was that the mission was greater than the business side. And that's the way I've always felt is, yes, if you don't make money, you can't be in business.
Yes.
But if the business side, if the money is greater than the mission, it won't last very long.
Amen.
But if the mission is greater than the money, somehow, magically, the money gets taken care of. Because people see that. People know that. And also, as a human being, you're going to have a mistake that's going to happen. And if people know that you've got their best interests at heart, they'll let you. They know that you're going to have things that happen. But if they know that you're all about just the money, it will not go in that direction. But the main thing is, when we got together, it was about bringing a better mission to the hospice field that's out there. And the staff, and Robert's great. Robert is fabulous.
Yeah, and it has assembled a wonderful staff. Even walking in the office, you feel like you're a part of the family. And that's what you want to feel in that person's home.
Well, I will tell you, one of the first, if not the first people he hired was Becky Carroll. And if you know Becky Carroll, then you know compassion at that point. And that's enough said about that. But she was the first person, I believe that's right, that he hired, in there. And she is just such a good and compassionate person. And it's gone from there. It is moved out from there. And he hires everybody himself. And I've even told him, said, go ahead and hire some more staff as we were talking. And I don't get into a lot of the day-to-day because he's well capable of running it. But I was like, get some more staff. He said, I like to know what they're about. I like to know. Yes. I like to know that if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, they get that phone call that, yes, it's inconvenient, but that's their patient, and they're going to take care of them.
Spend a little more time on money. What if, do you turn a patient down because of a financial situation? Will you take any patient?
No, we're not going to turn someone down because of just money, just money. Yes, we're a business and you have to make money, but it will take care of it. But you do realize that as you get into hospice, there's going to be some medications that cost more. There's going to be some procedures that cost more. You can't, and I hate to use the words break the bank on someone, but you have to use it. You have to use your compassion to understand. Let's help them out. And as we grow, we're going to do more and more of that. But no, we're not going to turn someone down just based on money.
Okay, let me ask you, Ben. How can Integrity Hospice make a difference in people's lives in our community?
The biggest way that Integrity Hospice can make a difference in people's lives is by listening, understanding, holding the hand of someone, putting yourself in their position. That sounds real simple. It sounds a little bit like, well, that's not what hospice does, but it is. At the end of the day, it's understanding that person is wanting anyone they can. And when I say anyone to be compassionate towards them. They want to know what is about to come. They want to understand it. And not all you would go necessarily into the depths of the details of what's going on. But how Integrity Hospice can make a difference is by each person they touch, family and patient, that they come away better than if they hadn't touched them.
Thank you for taking a little time with us today. We just wanted to dig just a little deeper into hospice and what it means to our community, and we want to thank you on behalf of the community for what you do, not only with Integrity, but no matter when I call on you, you're always here for our community, and you've always been a great part of it. We really appreciate that.
I appreciate the time.
Yes, and if you're listening to us now, the number's right there on the screen. If you have questions, these are just some questions I wanted to sit down with Bent today and talk to him about, but you may be sitting there at home and you have certain questions you'd like answered. Maybe you don't even need hospice now. You just want a consultation and talk with us. Call the number on the screen. Robert Reed or any of his staff will be glad to help you. You can go in on Hillcrest Parkway. They'll answer any question right next to Hangers Cleaners. But just any questions you have, Integrity, Robert, any of the staff would be glad to answer. We really appreciate you joining us today.